Charles, Joe Biden is going around the world in a daze.
I mean, he's just El Stupo. I mean, it's really, at this point, it's pathetic. I have fortunately never had to deal with this, but I imagine having a drunk uncle who would who shows up everywhere, shows up with your friends when you're 18, high school graduation, shows up at college, shows up at your wedding, shits in the punch bowl. This guy he's pathetic. And the problem, the founders actually were very concerned, from what you read, about a tyrant taking control of government. Indeed, when the original Articles of Confederation were adopted, they made the president very weak. In fact, so weak that the country didn't function, and that's why we had the Constitution. There was a lot of...
Because they were worried about a king.
They were worried about a tyrant, because they had, in England, they had experienced both Mad King George, but before that, King Charles.
Oh yeah. Didn't they chop his head off?
Yeah. Gave him it was my weight loss reduction program. Very
It's too bad they lost that part in the translation from English law to American law. Maybe McCarthy could have a vote on the guillotine.
The hook, at the very least.
Which way would you like to go here,
Let's go
Charles?
this way, get away from the siren if possible. Now we're going to see to your right, and we've got to be subtle about this.
Check.
This is the prime homeless encampment there. You see the blue tarp?
Oh yeah.
And before we get there, these three gentlemen are part of the homeless encampment. I only know this because I was walking through here before I met you. And they don't like their pictures taken too much, so...
Well, it's a good thing the police are doing anything about it.
Oh yeah, it's a good thing that the police are completely ignoring this.
Well, they got to get their mean glare in there.
Well, look at that.
Yeah.
That's the beginning of a chop.
Indeed.
Right? I mean, that's preposterous. Back in the day.
Oh, wow, look at that lady walking by, just looking at it. I feel like this is a video on the internet where some guy's like, hey, what's this alligator doing here? And then a second later, his dog gets eaten.
Exactly. But, this is the kind of stuff ordinarily where under Rudy Giuliani, and I guess this Howard Safier, who was the police commissioner,
right?
just
He
died.
was good.
Well, he was the one who either came up with or enforced the zero tolerance policy, which you really have to do.
Yeah.
And I'm hardly an expert on policing, but I have been around the city long enough to notice things when they get out of kilter.
We're there.
And they are definitely out of kilter. In fact, we might want to just walk up a little detour, walk up this West 4th, and we can show you something.
It's a heavy squirrel day, Charles.
Yeah.
Is that because it's
Moose
autumn?
and squirrel.
Almost. Yeah, maybe these people know something about Russiagate, the squirrels.
That's right.
They can have more information than Adam Schiff or Dan Goldman.
Oh, God. And it's pathetic the way these idiots are coordinating the defense. Now the line everyone's using is that there's no evidence. There's no evidence.
I thought it was that there's no direct evidence. They changed it to.
Well, no evidence. And there's a story that I read this morning that the Democrats are upset with Axios, which used to be the inside leaking internet-based arm.
Really?
Because they're running stories about the evidence. And the Democrats
About
don't like
who?
it. About the
evidence.
Yeah. So the official line that the people read from the journalist, or the equivalent of journalist, is there's no evidence. And now Axios is saying, no, wait a minute, there is evidence.
It's
and of
just
course
the most
there's
absurd
evidence.
thing to say. It's like, this is perhaps the most grotesque example of, what do you want to call it? Gaslighting, Goebbels, big lie, stipulating reality. They're just digging in and there's no evidence. What the hell are you talking about? The guy's house is evidence, Hunter Biden's emails, testimony from these witnesses, the IRS whistleblower. There's so much evidence, it's insane.
Well, and I generally don't do this, but because I'm not going to say when I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it twice by the end of the year.
What?
I just taped a radio interview with a great person, and I'll say who it is. It's John Batchelor and Gordon Chang. And once we finished, they're aware of my travel schedule because they like to get reports from the road. Actually, I've been doing that with them since 2009. And John said, I hear you're going to be in Dubai. And I said, yeah, that's true. Twice I'll be in Dubai. And he said, okay, here's what you got to do. you have got to go to the Four Seasons Hotel, to the place where Hunter Biden.
Oh,
put the speakerphone,
yeah.
and we'll do an interview
Oh, yeah.
from the Four Seasons Hotel. And I said, "You're on, done." What a great idea!
That is a great idea.
I'll put you on the phone.
That's cool.
Anyway, that's hilarious. Now this guy here ahead, today he's in shorts, but he's a sad sack who's here all the time. If he's not out front begging in front of Chase, he's over there.
Where?
And
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
With the cane at Capital One.
and I don't know what's wrong with it. He's definitely off.
He likes to hang out at the bank and see who's
And he gets pretty
taking out
aggressive.
money.
With me, he made that mistake once, and he's alive. But you know, I don't hit people, but I'm not going to be shamed by some aggressive hobo. And
Well, he's probably got the cane as a weapon more than needing to walk with it.
well, he looks like he maybe went to the hospital or something. But smoking and begging are not generally thought to be
Right,
good,
cigarettes
good
are pretty
approaches.
expensive and not exactly nutritious. Wow.
Unless we didn't get to that guy.
You know, I don't think I ever noticed that this building is kind of modeled after the Flatiron a little bit.
Right. I have a friend who was, I think, one of the original owners in there, and what the developer was very smart. It's a condo, but he kept out of the condo the stores. So that's why it explains, well, how could a condo allow porn shops and this Gray's Papaya place and others to be in there forever? Yeah, there's a hard no.
He's got a sales pitch going.
Yeah. So we'll see.
His banter.
This is
It's
I know a
fine. You
place
just go ahead and
near and dear
park
to your
right
heart.
on the sidewalk.
This is near and dear to your heart, I believe, Tio Pepe.
Yeah.
But all these shacks, these restaurant shacks, are supposed to be gone.
Yeah, right. What are they still doing here?
Well, they're not gone.
They are mostly gone around town.
Not here.
Although, you know what? Yeah, I have seen a few that remain.
I nearly stepped on a homeless person because I was looking that way and there was a
Wow.
homeless person, and I went out to get out of the way, and then there was broken glass. Speaking of broken glass,
Whoa, yeah, look at that.
let's just stay on this side of the street.
Oh, the cops are there.
Yeah. Sleeping.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get in the way of your bicycling on the sidewalk. Excuse me.
Shut up.
Fuck you, asshole! Get the bicycle off the sidewalk, you son of a bitch! The fucking guy almost crashes into us
Right.
and then says that. Oh, good. Sit there and do the paperwork. Don't worry. They're not going to do anything with this, Charles.
Well, that's sad because I know this place. Let's go.
These guys are occupied until lunch in that car.
They're digesting their breakfast.
Do you believe the guy literally had to stop the bicycle to avoid crashing into us?
It's still there.
And he doesn't even say, hey, I'm sorry, and
Like,
politely
they don't
leave?
give a shit, Jason. They don't.
No, they think it's their right
I know.
to injure you on a bicycle on the sidewalk. This is why I think you should be able to use force against someone on the sidewalk. Did you just get a mouthful of dust?
I had my mouth closed. No, I actually want to be nice to these guys. You see, this Florence meat market, it's not necessarily when you look at it, and particularly when you see the cat that generally is in there.
No, that's good. It's getting the rats.
Okay, but this is excellent meat. Excellent, excellent meat.
That's an old school place.
And the prices are reasonable, actually.
Probably the same family
Oh,
has
yeah,
owned
yeah.
this thing and maybe owns the building.
No, I know my mother and father went to this place when I was a kid.
Wow.
So, and you can see like the old school pricing there.
Look at the ceiling, Charles. You don't even get a ceiling like that anymore in a building.
Yeah. When I was in high school, I had a summer job in a bike shop that had a ceiling like that, and I had to paint it.
Oh,
Black paint.
isn't that a tin ceiling or something?
What? It was a tin, yeah.
What's the purpose of tin, and why don't they do that anymore?
I don't know. It's not
It's the
thick.
old way. Now wait a minute. Look at this. So this is a dumpster right here. Like, why don't we have these all over the place and put the garbage in there?
Oh, it would be too sensible. But where were we actually? We were talking about
That shop
pathetic-
getting broken in,
Well,
the cops sitting there doing nothing.
But we
oh
were
wow,
ta-
look at this. This is an E truck.
Yeah, we were talking, I think, about the arc of Joe's history,
Lying.
which is really like this. It's not. It's kind of like this. You know, when you're. I don't know if you have the experience skiing
It's
where you come
accelerated.
around a corner and you think that the slope is going to be what it was, and instead it's like, whoa!
That's what's happening to Joe
Yeah.
right now.
And that's what's happening around the world.
Careful
it's,
there.
Nice. That's nice. Nice. Recently deposited
He's just
sustainable
gotten off-
turd.
He's gotten off the chairlift, Charles. He's made a wrong turn and he's on a double black diamond.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I was once out in Colorado. I got to remember the name of this place. It was owned by it's a nice ski resort that was owned by actually by a pet food company, and people were saying that, you know, it's dangerous on this particular slope, and I was like, what are you talking about? Not in front of me, but while I was there, some woman was out of control and just, you know, impaled herself,
Wow.
dead.
Holy crap. Speaking
know,
of women out of control, what the hell was Hillary Clinton doing at the White House yesterday?
Have you established that she's a woman?
Good point. We should stop at the biology place.
It makes you unqualified to be on the Supreme Court.
True. That and also no law degree and no experience as
Actually,
a judge.
you don't need a law degree to be on the Supreme Court.
That's absurd.
I think we'd probably do a better job if we had. I think if we took that hobo in front of Capitol One
Put him on the
and
Supreme
had
Court.
that hobo in charge of however many clerks the Supreme Court justice gets, we'd get a better result than if Hillary Clinton were the Supreme Court.
Maybe.
Or God forbid, Obama.
We're getting blasted right here,
Go
huh?
this way.
And you might be right. It could be just arbitrary completely.
Yeah. And one of the things you learn the hard way if you're ever in business doing leverage buyouts is that time is not your friend when you have a problem.
Waiting, you mean?
You want to.
I don't need your money, thank you.
That woman's rolling down the window to speak to the guy. Terrible idea.
Yeah. Well, and also to hang around.
Well, he could reach in there.
This may be why it's not such a great idea to have those bins.
Well, they had locks on them at the other one.
Right.
But so, out of control woman impaled herself, Joe Biden.
Well, yeah. So that's what we're seeing here. I mean, every day, I think the criminal element, which we have to assume is an enduring percentage of the total population.
Growing.
It may not be 1%, it may not be 20%, but it's a number.
I think they said 2%.
It's a number. And when that criminal element discerns, as for example has happened with these flash
Whoa.
mobs, I don't know if you've seen those stories.
Yeah.
You see that story today?
Well, I don't know about a new one. What happened now?
They're now saying that these flash mobs are actually organized. That what they're
Oh,
doing is
yeah,
they're taking homeless people or people down on their luck and saying, we'll give you $100 if you join
The mob.
at this time, and here's your crowbar, and here's your they said cold-plated car. You take a car and you steal license plates from another car. You
Put it
the
on your
stolen
car.
and so they do all that, and they're just now they tell the people what they want you to steal,
Wow.
and then they go in and they do this.
Bespoke theft. I like it.
And that's because we have these Karens and George Soros and other people with these who haven't been mugged yet, who believe that, well, you know, with the criminal element, there isn't a
Equity.
criminal element.
Yeah.
This is
Down
all
on their luck.
yeah, and in a crowning and fitting development that I actually love to see this because it resonates with a general theory I and my children have, that a large slug of these peer-reviewed studies
Yeah.
are utter garbage. Well, it turns out one of the primary proponents of systemic racism, Professor Stewart, I think, not
right.
Jackie Stewart, the race car driver, but Professor Stewart, apparently invented all of his studies and has been called out. And he says this guy, when you punched in until recently systemic racism into Google Scholar, his work
Wow.
got the most citations. And apparently it's all garbage, it's bullshit.
Yeah, I know. You told me about it. That's amazing.
And I think it stands to reason. I mean, if you live,
That's probably standard operating procedure.
well, if you live in a cocoon, right, where you're only dealing with people who are like you, and you've grown up in that cocoon, so you take your instructions from the New York Times.
Right.
You listen to Rachel Madcow with rapt attention and wonder and awe.
Think she's serious.
You venerate Hillary Clinton and Squall Warren and those type of people. You're inclined to believe complete fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Right? And sadly, these people are put up on pedestals. Hillary Clinton, the Squaw, Kamala Harris, I mean, Joe Biden.
How about Rudy Giuliani leaving the 9/11 thing because they put Kamala Harris up front and shoved him in the back?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was on a podcast yesterday talking about it. He's right. Even if you don't like Giuliani now, he was there on 9/11. He was walking around in the smoke cloud. It was dangerous as hell.
Right, and what we have to remember, I mean, I wasn't exactly on the front lines of 9/11, though I was here in the city that day, is that we didn't know what had happened.
Or what was going to happen next.
Right, oh, this is great.
Look at this motorcycle on the sidewalk. Fucking asshole. Yeah, come on back, Dick.
These guys are dangerous, Jason.
He's gonna do a fucking thing. Fuck you, asshole. Come do what you're gonna do, stupid. I hope you get in a crash.
What?
Charles, look at how brazen that is. They're waving, they're
Again,
delighted.
remember, these guys could be
terrorists,
like the
I
convicted
understand.
murderer that was just finally
That's
caught.
why they've got to be taken off the street.
Right, but not necessarily
By us. Right.
So, anyway, this perpetual criminal class, which is a bigger percentage of the population than I would like to admit, it knows that they do what they want. Even if they're arrested, there's no bail.
Yeah, they're just going to let them go.
Right.
Run somebody like me over with a motorcycle, and then I'll go to jail.
Right. And that, if your objective is sowing discord, bringing down the United States from the inside to, in theory, serve maybe China, maybe Russia, or some foreign power, you're doing a pretty damn good job of wrecking this country.
Now, are we missing our target?
It depends how far down you want to go.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, we can go a little bit further and let's go here.
Yeah. But that's
sure.
probably.
I haven't seen that building before. But, the...
Killing us from the inside.
Right, and these people, I love it when somebody who's a complete scumbag fuckwad
Who's
in
that?
politics, most of the people in government, demands, as the mayor of Chicago has and Eric Adams have, that you're disrespecting them. You've got to show them some respect.
You know what I would say to that guy
you.
if I saw him. This business I've been giving the cops is nothing compared to what I would say to him.
That's so much to be in the sun. Yeah. And with Joe Biden, he has beclowned himself. He is demolishing the institution, the office of the presidency.
Yeah.
He is a bad joke, a very bad and dangerous joke.
And not funny.
And overnight, we learned that Western missiles apparently were used to take out, to attack a shipyard that is in Crimea under now Russian control. And their significant damage was caused by this. And I don't think Russia is going to just sit there and say, oh, no, that's fine.
I don't understand why they haven't just done a cruise missile barrage at the presidential palace, decapitate their government, and say, listen, no more joking around. This is over. Ukraine is now, whatever, Russia too.
Well, apparently some prominent general, Russian general, is saying, this experience explains exactly why we need to continue going west once we get done with Ukraine.
I don't disagree. I mean, I'm not saying that Russia should become imperialistic, but they have been more patient than you could reasonably expect any other nation to be.
Well, and what I do love, again, we dwell a lot on the negatives. I dwell on the negatives. There are some positives.
I think you're pretty positive usually.
Well, okay, so a recent positive is the priceless example of that idiot to the north, the Nook of the North, Trudeau, going over to try to lecture Modi, who I'm told is a very tough guy, lecture him about you know, India.
I hope he wore the blackface and that ridiculous costume.
Right, right. Well, apparently Modi tore him to shreds
Good.
in private over apparently the fact that there are a lot of secessionist movements trying to break up India that are being operated from Canada. So Modi was lecturing him. And then when came time for that Fidel Castro's son, Trudeau, to try to leave and return home to Canada, I suppose I should have to say Canada, English way and French way and whatever.
Canada.
Yeah. He discovered to his shock and horror his Bombardier jet, or whatever it was, the Canadian jet, couldn't take off because it had parts broken.
Is Bombardier Canadian or French?
It's Canadian,
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So he probably does fly a Bombardier jet.
as a guess. I mean, he had a Dumbardier jet, but it was that was hilarious.
Who decided to put bomb in the name of a plane company that's as smart as the supersonic company called Boom?
Yeah, kaboom.
Don't want to get on that plane.
Why not, Jason?
It's going to go boom.
Yeah. Or how about Best Way Karting?
I learned something interesting that might not be interesting to you, Charles, but an innovation that the Soviets made in terms of supersonic flight that you're seeing on these newer supersonic jets is that they put these little tiny winglets up at the front, and this somehow affects the N wave so that they're using one of the things that was typically a problem with supersonic flight to create additional lift under the wing by breaking the N wave earlier. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, fascinating.
Well,
Just send me a long memo about that.
Yeah, I
All right.
could. I
need
watched
to
a whole
I'm
show
having
about
trouble.
it. I liked it.
I'm having trouble getting to sleep. No, I'm kidding. That's nice. But it's fascinating, A, that Trudeau was walking around in a daze in India. And also, I mean, Biden's performance at the Vietnam presser.
Just bad.
I mean,
kissing John McCain's.
great.
Why do they have a statue to John McCain in Vietnam?
Because he was working for the other side.
Right, he was making radio broadcasts for them. But just quickly, Charles, because we've only got about 2 minutes before we make the shift over to the sponsor exclusive First Amendment Forum. Do you want to go to? Oh yeah, we lose signal over there. We'll keep going this way. But we'll be back in 5 minutes. Oh no, we still have. We'll do a closing statement. But I just want to remind people to join us on Odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I want to acknowledge that polite cyclist who just stopped to allow us to cross. That's what you're supposed to do.
Right. And he was on the street. Not
Exactly. That's a responsible guy.
Yeah. He must be from out of town.
Well, no, the people from out of town are like that guy who wants to ride his motorcycle on the sidewalk and doesn't care, and the other guy who, right in front of the cops.
The cops are just there for show at this point.
It's terrible.
And expensive.
Yeah, so all right, well anyway, just in our last minute here, Charles, what would you like to focus on in the First Amendment Forum? We've got some great stuff to talk about.
We're going to talk about Joe Biden being in a daze, but we're going to talk about the perilous state of the global economy.
Consumer Price Index came out today.
Yeah, it was hotter than expected. And it's not because there's an imminent climate disaster, it's because there's an imminent financial markets disaster. As you can see, if you look at the credit default swap, which is an insurance product market for U.S. and Chinese debt, it's very scary what's going on.
Well, you'll have to explain that in a way that it makes sense to people like me in just 5 minutes when we return. Don't forget to join us. By the way, everybody, you can follow Charles on Twitter if you aren't already, @Charles Ortel. On X, the X Twitter, and you can also follow me. Whoa, this guy really wants to. SCSNY. What is that?
No, that's a zebra. You're not supposed to do what that
Scumbag
idiot
Car
just did.
Service, New York.
Yeah.
Sorry, what about a zebra?
You're not in New York. If somebody is walking in a zebra crossing,
you're not supposed to drive, right?
You're supposed to stop your vehicle.
Yeah, that guy wasn't doing that.
He was advancing.
I know that. They love that. All right, well, we'll be right back, Charles. And thanks for